Drew here, and quite honestly, based on the reviews that I read prior to its release, I kind of expected to hate this show, but based only on the first episode, The Mill, I'm in. I think it's pretty interesting, and I want to see where the season goes. Now, it's not without flaws. I feel like primarily the critics have been honing in on the fact that a lot of the insights about this small community in Pennsylvania's Rust Belt have been rather general, and this is particularly seen in the dialogue. I think there's a lot of very, very general dialogue.
I'm left permanently taking care of my father, and you lost the love of your life. You know what infer means?
But you're under threat, and you start defending yourself, and you just keep on going. Past the time the threat's moved on. Maybe that's just what men do.
If I know anything, I know you can't afford Spotify.
It's freaking YouTube. Look at me. You sucked.
Okay.
But on the whole, I think that I just have to appreciate that this show has a personality. I think that there's so many generic shows out there that aren't trying to have a personality of their own. And this show, it may be trying too hard in some regards. I think the brown-tinted cinematography speaks to the pretensions of the people that are making it. And obviously, I think that it's based on a very, very pretentious novel that very few people read. But I think that it is an engaging show so far. Now, I'm sure the showrunners were thrilled when they saw the success of Mayor of Easttown, because there are lots of similarities here. Both of them are taking place in small, despairing Pennsylvania communities. This one in the fictional community of Buell, Pennsylvania, Rust Belt town. And the novel by Philipp Meyer is described as being a novel that focuses on the decline of America's middle class and well-paying manufacturing jobs. And you read that summary and you think, well, this is going to be not up my alley, because it's going to be really, really pretentious, and it's going to be the next hillbilly elegy. That's what it sounds like. But over the course of this episode, I feel that it really does draw you in. There are a lot of compelling scenes, despite the generic writing. The creator of this show is Dan Futterman, who got Jeff Daniels, who appears in this show, awards attention for The Looming Tower. So clearly, a collaboration that is happening because of their previous work together. You watch this and you can tell that they're trying to get awards attention again. They touch on hot topic issues like the opioid crisis. You see the main character having these substance abuse issues as he mixes a bunch of different prescription drugs to try and deal with his trauma. He's a veteran of the Iraq War.
I hear you're on a mess of drugs because what you did overseas or up in Pittsburgh PD gives you bad dreams.
But putting that aside, I think that this episode just works. If you just watch it as an episode of television and you're not focusing on what the creators are trying to accomplish, you're just focusing on it as a story, I think that you will enjoy yourself here. The inciting incident doesn't happen until late in the episode, and this is where the murder mystery is probably going to play into the story. I'm not sure how prominent it will be yet. This is just the first episode, obviously. And this episode leans very, very heavily into the interpersonal drama. You see this main character played by Jeff Daniels, Del Harris, who's the local sheriff, trying to cover up the potential involvement of Billy Poe, who is the son of this woman who he has been involved with, played by Maura Tierney. You see him trying to cover that up, and this has a lot of potential for tense scenes. We only really see this at the end of the episode, but I think that this has potential to make the show pretty intriguing to people who enjoyed shows like Breaking Bad, because you've got this character who is very, very obviously a good old boy in a number of ways, going against his basic instincts to try and protect this person who is the son of someone who he has feelings for. Like I said, you don't really know how much the procedural elements are going to play into this show as it goes on. I've only seen the pilot episode. This pilot episode, it really, really focuses on the discontent that these characters are feeling in living in this small town in Pennsylvania. You see this kind of in the relationship of Billy Poe, and his situation in a lot of ways reminded me of Taylor Kitsch's character in Friday Night Lights, where he's this person who has, for undisclosed reasons, refused this scholarship to a college based on his prowess as a football player. And we don't really know what's going on with him, but it seems, based on this episode, that it wasn't his lack of skill that kept him from moving on. He's holding on to this town for some other reason. But you see all these characters that feel this sense of discontent, that wish they could move on, but yet they somehow seem to sense that this town is where they belong, and for various reasons they can't move on. And there was this really, really telling scene between the character of Billy and his friend Isaac English, played by David Alvarez, where Isaac asks, "Why are you still my friend?" And Billy replies,
"You're the only person left who makes me feel like I'm worth anything."
And it's a really, really touching scene, I felt. And Billy is in love, clearly, with Isaac's sister, who has moved off to the Big Apple and gotten married. And you see, this clash of cultures in this episode in the phone conversations that happen between Billy and Isaac's sister. As, essentially you can see that he feels insecure about his role in this small town. And you also see her kind of questioning, is this really where I belong? Do I really belong in a town like New York City? Is this really any way for people to be living? Jeff Daniels, as the lead character, he brings his signature soft-spoken gruffness to this role. He is never anything less than watchable. I don't think he's as exciting as Kate Winslet was in Mayor of Easttown, because that was a transformative role, and Jeff Daniels is kind of doing what he always does, but he's a compelling lead character, and I'm excited to see where this season takes him and where the mystery goes as the season goes on. For those of you who like mystery thrillers and are like, well, are there clues? Is this something that I can obsess about? I have to be honest and say I don't know yet, because this premiere really leaned into the interpersonal drama. If you don't have a Showtime subscription, I should mention that you can watch this premiere even if you don't have Showtime, because it's on YouTube and it's on Amazon Prime and it's on other places for free. I think Showtime is trying to get people to see it, to kind of pull you in. And I should warn you, if you do watch this episode, I think there is a good chance you're going to want to watch the rest of it. So if you can't afford another streaming subscription, stay away. Don't watch this episode. I feel like it's going to draw you in. So to me, the drama of the small town and the characters, particularly the characters of Billy and Del, who I find extremely likable just in this pilot episode, I think it's going to pull you in. So don't watch if you're concerned about that. But on the whole, I recommend this show just based on the first episode. So it could go way downhill after this. I fully admit that, but I would give it a chance if you're at all interested. So those are my thoughts on the first episode of American Rust. If you're interested in seeing my upcoming reviews of American Rust and other shows, please consider subscribing to the channel. And as always, thanks for watching.